Okay, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about cover letters. I think the cover letter gets overlooked a little bit, and it definitely is important. I don't think you want to totally disregard it. Um, okay, what I always say is definitely have a cover letter ready to go. Once you do a cover letter once and you do it well, you can reuse it. You can also tweak it to if you want to, uh, make it uh, apply to a certain company or job that you're applying to. If you want to reference that in the cover letter, you can definitely edit that a little bit. But once you have one good cover letter, you can use it over and over. You may need to update it here and there, but definitely is something that you want to have, as well as reference letters are important. Try to also get at least one or two reference letters. There are some applications that may ask for a reference letter from a previous employer or a previous manager, or a friend who can speak on your qualifications. Okay, but let's just talk about what is a cover letter. So it provides an opportunity to sell yourself to the employer, provide additional information about your skills and experience related to the position that you're applying to. This may be information that's not in the resume, and that's important. So it tells the employer why you're interested in the position in the company and why you're a suitable fit. Okay. And then also it will supplement the resume. It will elaborate on parts of your work history and qualifications. Okay. But very important, you do not want to repeat what's in the resume. So you have to get a little bit creative to where you're kind of mentioning some things about your work history and your qualifications, but you're doing it without explicitly saying, I have this degree, I have this certification, I've worked here. Okay. Maybe tell a story, give a personal story that you can incorporate into it, and that's a good way that you can include the information. And I will show a really good example that I came up with from my personal cover letter that I was able of how I was able to do that. Um, okay, and then the cover letter can also be an opportunity to explain concerns such as maybe there's been gaps in your employment, maybe you had to take a year or two off for personal reasons, and so you don't have to, even if you do want to use the cover letter for that part of that, you don't have to always go into detail. But if it's something that you're concerned about, maybe you don't feel like you're getting enough, a lot of callbacks as you should, or any job offers, maybe you could take that chance to explain and say, from this time to this time, I had to take off from work for personal reasons, to attend to a family matter or something of that nature. Uh, okay, let's move forward. Okay, so this is just a few other tips about the cover letter. So tell your story, and I think that's important. And again, when I show you my personal cover letter in a few minutes, I tell part of my story in it and make it personal. It doesn't have to be dry. It doesn't have to be, mundane or routine. Uh, tell your story. Tell your story, make it come alive, make that cover letter your introduction to who you are as it relates to your career and your education and your qualifications. Yeah, but give it a personal touch. Maybe there's something that you can connect. Maybe you struggled with math like I did when you were in school or something like that, or maybe you were first generation college student. Maybe you were a single parent and you had to overcome some obstacles, or maybe you had to work full time while you were in school, like many of us do. And so definitely tell a little bit of your story there. Explain how you can help that company. They want to know, what can you do for me? Show the skills that can be beneficial to the company. Okay. Don't show the same things that are on the resume. So we already said that you don't want to repeat the resume. Okay, but you can incorporate the resume and you can weave it in. You know, um, okay, mention achievements, definitely. Just like you're going to do in a resume, you want to mention achievements and not just job duties that you performed, but also accomplishments. What did you do? Were you recognized for something? Did you receive an award? Did you improve a process or something like that? Okay, make it formal, but like I said, also, it doesn't have to be. completely, just formal. You can give it a little bit of a personal touch as well. Definitely proofread it several times over. Proofread. Make sure that it has a nice flow to it. When read it, have a few people look at it, make sure it has a nice flow. Look at examples will really help as well, and you can take different pieces of examples that you found. Uh, okay, definitely try to keep it at one page or less if possible. My personal cover letter is one page. Uh, but it's a very good quality cover letter. Every paragraph, I make sure that every paragraph, every sentence counted, and that it has something that's valuable that is connecting with that employer. Okay, here's a few other tips about cover letters. Definitely try to, if you want to personalize it, you don't always have to. You can use the same generic, formatted cover letter. You can reuse that as long as it's related to what you're looking for. If you want to personalize it, you can. And a good way to do that is by looking up the mission statement of the company. Go to the website, and you can use that first few paragraphs where you can incorporate the mission statement of the company. Um, okay, definitely include data statistics in the form of accomplishments. So this might be something that you improved a process. You can include percentages. Okay, if you save the company some money, something like that, you can give dollar amounts. Uh, okay, include action verbs, which are very important. They make it more concise and it makes it more persuasive. And later, when we get into the resumes, we'll show you what those action verbs are and how you can incorporate those. Okay, tailor it to each employer position that you apply to. And this may be a little bit time consuming to have to go in and personally, put a personal touch, look up a mission statement, put something about that company. What I always usually recommend is, if it definitely is a job that you're really interested in, if it's one of your top 5 target companies, I would definitely say take the few minutes and go ahead and make it personal. Look up a mission statement, look up something about that company, maybe look up something in the news, an issue that company was dealing with, and come up with a solution of how you could help to solve that problem. I think is good. An example of that may be if you're applying to be a flight attendant, something like that, and you know that airlines deal with scheduling issues and things of that nature. So maybe come up with a couple of lines on how you could help to improve that problem that the airline has, or dealing with passengers and customer service. Hey, so that's just an example. Um, okay, please, if possible, do not start the cover letter off with "my name is," or "I'm writing to express my interest," or "I'm applying for," or another one that we see is the posting piqued my interest, and I've been guilty of all of these. And what I realized was, as I did more research, I found that some of the best cover letters I found did not have any of these in it. Um, and employers expecting to see things like this. My name is okay, but you got to think about it. If you're an employer reading that, they're already going to have your name. It's on the resume. They already know that you're interested in the position. Okay, they know that you're applying for it. Okay, so it's not easy because these are natural things that we see in many cover letters. Um, okay, but if you can avoid having these phrases in there, these very popular phrases that really are redundant, I think that it will make your cover letter stand out a little bit more, and it'll look more original and creative. Okay, so let's keep going here. Okay, so just a few quick outlines for cover letters of how they are set up. And, what I would say is definitely just try to look up a few examples. Uh, okay, but here we have about 2 or 3 different outlines. And the outlines are it's just basically a format. It's just a way to help you see how to set it up. Uh, your cover letter may not end up looking exactly like this. What I notice about all cover letters that I saw, the best examples, is that they're very, very creative. They don't read like a standard letter where it's just saying the jobs that you had and the jobs that you did. and the duties you perform. They have a very creative personal touch. Even in this example here, uh, in this outline here, you can see that it gets very creative. Where here in the second paragraph, they talk about, I have a passion for content creation and deep understanding of content cycle. Okay. But as far as an outline, okay, if you want to put your name at the top, you can do that. Okay. If you have a specific person that you're addressing it to, if you know who that person is, sometimes it's more than one person. And so what I would recommend is that you put something to the effect of candidate search committee, something like that. Uh, you can even put, to whom it may concern if you want to do that. Definitely try to avoid any gender exclusive. Okay, so don't put Mr. if you don't know for sure that that's who it is. But also, if you know that it might be more than one person you're interviewing with, you don't have to put that manager's name on it necessarily. You can address it to the company. You can address it as search committee. Okay, but definitely don't be exclusive. Uh, Dear sir or madam, some people you'll see that. Okay, but you don't necessarily have to, uh, put anything that's excluding any gender one way or the other. Okay, so like I said, if you know it's one person that you're interviewing with, maybe it's a small company, something like that. You know that it's that who the person is. You can go ahead and put their name if you want to. A lot of times, for the most part nowadays, it's going to be at least two or three people that you're interviewing with. Sometimes it's two or three rounds of people that you're interviewing with, and you don't know who those people are. Also, there might be different parts to it where that cover letter and that application may go to HR, it may go up the chain, and different people will see it. Okay, so a safe route to go is, I think, just go with Dear Search Committee or Dear Sir Battle is safe as well. Okay, but in this first paragraph, they're saying we get the reader's attention. Okay, and so what they did here is they mentioned past experience driving organic traffic by 23%. So right away they go into something where they were able to, you know, have some success and an accomplishment that they did in one of their previous jobs. So that got their attention, right? For you, it may be, use a personal story or something like that, something that relates to your careers or an obstacle that you overcame. Uh, okay, but find a creative way to get their attention. You could also, I think you could also use this first paragraph if you wanted to look up the company's mission statement, and you could use that information and do a connection that way. Or look up some information about the company, a problem that maybe they have. It could be something like, I saw in the news article that XYZ company, is dealing with this in the markets right now. And I'm excited to possibly offer some solutions to this problem. Okay, something that's going to say, wow, how did that person think of that? Or that's different, you know. Um, okay, the second paragraph, it says you can expand on your qualifications. So again, without repeating what's in the resume, but you can go into some of your achievements, some of your skills, that you have and how you can contribute and use those skills to help the company in that position. Uh, okay. And so again, they're using percentages in this outline where they're saying uh, uh, ways that they were able to improve the company in different processes, and they gave percentages. So they're using the percentages in the data. They're using that to explain that they're qualified because they were able to make these achievements. Connect with the company. Okay, and so in this paragraph, they kind of mention uh, something about good content. Okay, and then something about that they did their previous job. Okay, so again, you can get a little creative. Connecting with the company can be a little bit, uh, individualized. It may be something creative that you can come up with. Um, Hey, but all they're really doing in this third paragraph is they're saying uh, something, basically another achievement that they did in one of their past jobs. They're just kind of expanding on it a little bit. Okay, and then the last paragraph, call to gratitude. I look forward to learning more about how the senior content writer operates within the company and the current process. Thank you for taking the time to consider my application. Okay, so it's very, very general. They're not giving any demands or any deadlines here, any timelines. They're not looking desperate. They're not saying I hope to hear from you soon, anything like that. They're just kind of leaving the door open and saying, "This is who I am. This is my introduction. Hopefully, we can talk soon and go further with it." Okay, so that's a really good way to end it. Okay, so this is just the outline, and then of course you would sign it if you have a degree, a bachelor's, master's degree, if you want to put that, or a title or a certification, you could put that. Okay, so let's move on to. I'll show you briefly another outline. Uh, so this just kind of gives you another version of an outline of a cover letter here. So very similar. Get them hooked to make them read on. So the first one they said get the reader's attention. That's going to be very similar. Okay, and this other one, this other outline, why you're perfect for the company. Okay, here it says explain your qualifications. So very similar. Um, okay, why the company is perfect for you. Okay, in this third paragraph. And again, the way you do this is you get creative and you just read the example, and then you can kind of come up with your own material, how you can make the connection for yourself when you do your own cover letter. Okay, connect with the company. Uh, okay, why the company is perfect for you. Then a closing paragraph. Closing paragraph. So very similar. Okay, very similar. In this other outline here, they put a little postscript. Uh, I would also value the opportunity to show you how my e-detailing solutions grew the combined sales of 3 flagship products by 13% in 1 year. Okay, so basically they're just giving one more statistic there, data point of something that they improved at one of their companies. They put it as a postscript. You don't necessarily have to do that. You could put it into the main body as well. But it's kind of, I think, just one more little carrot that they're throwing out at that employer. Okay, let's move on. Definitely, you can always use bullet points, which is something that I used in my cover letter. Okay, but you can use bullet points. It kind of gives it a nice, clean presentation and kind of lays it out good. Okay, the rest of it would basically still be the same. This outline says, uh, introduce yourself to the hiring manager. Use this space to explain who you are, your professional areas of expertise. Okay, where you discovered the open position and the reasons you wish to apply. Okay, you don't necessarily have to get into all of that. This, like I said, I would use this as an opportunity to uh, grab their attention, to either look up some information about the company, the mission statement, or you can put a personal story here to get their attention. Okay, and then the rest of it would pretty much read uh, pretty similar. You could read through this example, and then, but what it'll do is, once you read through these 3 examples, it'll start to give you ideas of how you can set yours up. It's not going to look exactly like any of these 3 examples, okay, but you can start, it'll give you what you need to help you piece it together. And then you can kind of go from there. Okay. Okay, so let's look at a few examples. Okay, so think about it, you're going to need different types of letters depending on where you're at in your career. Okay, so if you're still in school, you may be looking for your first internship. Maybe you're looking for your first entry level job. Okay, maybe you already have a little bit of experience. You're looking for your next job. All different types of scenarios. There's people that have several years of experience, and so that person is going to want to, maybe definitely brag on themselves and state their qualifications, but they may not want to put in a position where they're going to seem overqualified in some cases. So, hey, but this is a marketing internship cover letter, someone that would be looking for uh, an internship in marketing. Okay, so this would be for a second year college student with no experience. The student used achievements in academic coursework, and they also used a marketing competition that they did for the Georgia Film Office, and also they did some volunteer work for the university. They mentioned that they had a 40% increase in social media engagement. Okay, and so this is the way it was laid out. They used the bullet points there, and again, they didn't have much to put on there, so they used the coursework and projects that they did in their classes. Okay, and then they were involved in a competition and they did some volunteer work. So what this tells me is that this person was a student with no work experience, but they were, they were engaged. They were out there doing whatever they could to get some experience under their belt, so they could have something to put into a resume eventually. So that's what you would need to do as well. I think the challenge is that a lot of students now they're working full time, and a lot more students now have family obligations while they're in school. Uh, in my case, I went to school full time straight out of high school. I was able to do internships part time while I was in college. Uh, I had a chance to go to graduate school after that, and actually, I had a full time internship that I did while I was in graduate school. So by the time I finished school, uh, I had basically full time work experience, and then I also uh, had done a few different internships also while I was in undergrad, and so I had a good bit of experience. But that was several years ago. A lot has changed since then, and so what I would recommend is that if a student, let's say you're working full time, but you need to get some type of experience, if you can. There are entry level jobs that maybe are willing to give you a shot. Okay. But if you're working part time, what I would say is definitely you want to strive to try to get some internship experience while you're in school. And it's never too early. You can do it your first year, second year. I think I started mine in my second year. Um, okay. One thing I put here is that they should not have said to contact them by phone after 12 p.m. So in the last sentence here, they say I'm free after 12 p.m. on weekdays. So definitely don't set any parameters like that. Just make it an open. That's why you have voicemail. That's why you have email. And so definitely people are understanding that if they have to leave a message, someone can definitely call them back. Uh, okay, so definitely don't. Another thing you don't want to ever do is don't give any timelines or deadlines, or say, if I haven't heard from you by this time, I will follow up with you or anything like that. At the end of the day, we have to understand that we don't control the process. We don't control the hiring process, and we are kind of at their mercy. We may not hear back from them, and that's the reality. We may go on an interview, we may do a phone screening, and we may not hear back anything at all. And so we have to be respectful of that. Okay, well, let's move on. Okay, so this is an example of a cover letter for a graduating senior in college, and what they did was they used study abroad research, and they worked as a tutor, and they put that they increased writing scores by 40%. Okay, so again, this is someone that was probably in school full time. Uh, they were probably, living on campus. They had a chance to study abroad and so forth, so on. A lot of students is a very different experience now. They might be, still living at home to save money with the family. Maybe they have a family of their own. Uh, they have to start working, so forth. So, um, okay, but there are some students who definitely would fall in this category, and so that's the way that you could set it up. Okay, if you came back to school after a few years, and you don't really have any experience, or um, if you just have a little bit of experience, or if you have to use your current job and use some of those skills, then you'll have to find a way to kind of be creative about that. Okay, but again, we want to give you different options here. We want to try to find different situations that anything will apply to. Okay. Oh, a little cough tonight. All right. Okay, so this is a cover letter for a recent college graduate. Uh, this would be for an entry level position. Okay, what they did here was they used experience as a student worker in the OTS department, and they said they increased ticket response time by 12%. Okay, so again, this is someone who has a part time job as a student worker. They were able to get some experience in their field. Um, we're hoping that a lot of students will be able to do the same thing, but definitely we understand that it doesn't always happen that way. I have seen many people who are trying to get their first job and they just simply don't have any experience. They went back to school, they got a degree in maybe something like cybersecurity. They were working full time, putting themselves through school, and they simply just never got a chance to get any experience. Especially in a job like IT, where experience is very important. Okay, so again, we in those situations, you'll have to get creative. You may have to find a company that's open on the weekends that has like a 24-hour help desk or something like that, where you can put some hours in and volunteer if you have to, and do an internship so that you can, even if it's just for 3 months, 6 months, at least that's something you can put on there, and then you can put some of those achievements on there that you were able to do while you were there. Okay, here's another example of a cover letter. It does a good job with researching the company. Okay, it includes the mission statement. It includes accomplishments, data, and statistics. They decrease employer turnover by 12%. Okay, so definitely you see in this first paragraph up here, they looked up the company that they were applying with. They looked up the mission statement. They included it here, and then they made like a personal connection. Okay, and then all throughout the cover letter, you see these percentage signs. So that means that they're listing achievements that they accomplish throughout their career, and they're using data points, which is really good. And these are some of the same things that you'll see in the resume as well, but they're incorporating it also into their cover letter. Okay, and then decrease employee turnover by 12%. So they're saying a direct something. What they're saying is, this is what I've done in the past, and I can do this as well if you give me an opportunity for your company. Okay, so that's a really good example of a cover letter that I saw. Okay, all right, let's move on. Okay, so this one, okay, this is a cover letter that has the candidate with 5 years of experience. Okay, they did a good job with listing accomplishments, data, statistics. They streamlined and increased efficiency for accounts payable process by 20%. Okay, so again, if you see these percentages all throughout, they use bullet points here. Okay, and they listed their achievements here. They use bullet points. They use percentages. Okay, and that's how it's done. That's going to get the reader's attention. Okay, up here we do see that I'm writing to apply. Okay, they also mentioned that they have a bachelor's degree and a CPA somewhere. I think that's further down here somewhere. Yeah, that's in this paragraph here. Okay, and so definitely, like I was saying when we first got started, the I'm writing to apply is very, very routine. That's something that they're used to seeing, and so you definitely want to avoid that and make it something more original. And what I mean by original is, if you look at uh, if we look at all the examples here I showed, so this one starts off, I'm delighted to submit my application for this position that opened up recently. Okay, they just have one line where they mention that. And so that's not too bad. They're not saying it in a very redundant way. They're just saying, basically they're saying how excited they are to apply for the position, which is a good thing. You want to show that you're excited. Hey, if we look at this one, it does start off with my name is. Okay, this is a graduating senior, so at this point they haven't done a lot of cover letters. Okay, but definitely, they're still showing how enthusiastic they are to apply for this position. And they say that they're ecstatic. Okay, this one here, if we see, they start off as a longtime admirer of the work done by the team at your company. Okay, so very good. There's the way it starts off. I'm delighted to submit my application. Okay, again, they're saying how excited they are. They're not just saying the redundant, I'm submitting my application for this position. Okay. They're saying how and a longtime admirer of the company. Okay, so it's not just the same routine over and over. My name is, I'm submitting my application. Uh, okay, here they don't do it at all. There's no my name is, there's no I'm submitting my application. They start out very creative with the mission statement. Okay, and then it goes from there. Very, very creative, very good cover letter with this one. Okay, and again, this is a very good cover letter overall. But we do like to show also some pieces that maybe shouldn't have been there in ways that they could have made it better. Okay, so this very last sample this is actually my personal cover letter that I'm really proud of. I just recently actually came up with it. I didn't need one for a while, and I said, okay, let me go ahead and come up with one. I think it's time to, let me have one that'll be ready to go when I need it. And so this is the sample cover letter that is my personal letter. Okay, over 20 years of experience. Does not start off with I'm applying for. Okay, it discusses work history but does not repeat the resume. It lists accomplishments and achievements. It has a personal touch, has a neutral, open ending with no demands. Okay, so in this first paragraph, if you remember the outline, said something like connect with the company, something like that. Okay, so here I start off, I kind of talk about my personal story. I talk about how I struggle with reading and math um, and standardized tests. And so if I'm looking for a job in higher education, okay, this is going to make a personal connection because testing, reading, math, that's all part of higher education. And then I go on to later say how I overcame some of those obstacles. Okay, but the way I do it is I connected, like for instance, I say that I ended up later getting a job as a GED instructor, and I had to learn and brush up on my math again, and I was actually teaching math. I was teaching algebra and geometry, subjects that I struggled with when I was in school, and I had to get tutors, and here I am teaching it now. And I say that how I was published in a journal with my master's thesis. And I use that to make a personal connection. Okay, and then if you see the rest of the resume, I just do a very good job of how I just got very creative. I looked at different examples, and um, I tried to explain different tasks that I've done in different jobs without explicitly saying that. Okay, so in this line here, I say in other positions in student training and placement and workforce case management, I was on the front lines of providing training, resume assistance, and job referrals to students and clients, many of which had some employment barriers to overcome. Okay, so I'm not saying that the specific jobs that I did or where I worked at, but I'm saying the work that I did and the impact that I made in a very creative way. And then I do the same thing here, and I start to kind of talk about my current position, what I do now. Okay, and then what I do here is I eventually go into all the different skills that I'm able to do now. Okay, but again, I got creative with it. I did not just say I'm able to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C. Okay, I get a very creative with it, and I make it flow almost like a story. And then in this last paragraph, I start to kind of list all the specific skills that I'm able to do. There are the things that I'm familiar with, such as resumes, cover letters, career assessments, labor market data, okay, job development, career fairs. Okay, and I make it clear. Don't assume that the employer knows that you can do these things. Spell it out for them. Okay, so I'm very proud of this. Here I list some of my career achievements, and I use percentages right there. Okay, and I use bullet points for that. Okay, in this last paragraph, all I did was basically I looked at some examples and I saw some good ways that they ended it, and I was able to use some of that vocabulary. Some of it here is talking about soft skills, detail, organize, manage multiple tasks and projects, Okay, so it kind of closes it and brings it home. Okay, and then I ended with, I'm looking forward to continue the discussion with you and to have an opportunity to demonstrate a presentation. Okay, so I'm just leaving the door open. I'm not looking desperate. I'm not saying I hope to meet with you soon. Uh, I'm saying that I'm able to also do a presentation if you're interested, if that's part of the process. Okay, and then you see at the top, I put to candidate search committee is what I use. Okay, so that covers cover letters. So now we will get into resumes. Yeah, I am kind of on a time constraint here, so I'm going to just kind of go through this a little bit faster than usual, which is hard to do because I like to be thorough and I like to kind of cover the information. It's very thorough. It's a lot of information, um, but this I'm doing for a specific purpose so that someone can look at it in about a 45-minute period if possible. Okay, and so let's just talk about a second. What is a resume? Okay, so the resume is going to provide a summary of your qualifications. Okay, so think about it as a piece of paper that anyone should be able to look at, and they should be able to get a good idea of what your qualifications are and what you can do for that company. Okay, it should show them that you're qualified and that you are hireable. Um, okay, think about this also. A resume is going to be it's a demonstration of your written communication skills. It shows your writing skills basically. Uh, there are people, of course, that have people write their resume for them, and there's services that do that. But I don't really recommend that because that person is taking ownership over your resume. Okay, you need to be the one that takes ownership of it. There's a lot of technology out there. There's a lot of examples. There's a lot of resources that you don't have to do it on your own. If you say, well, I'm not the best writer, I don't know how to put it together. There's plenty of information and resources out there. You just have to be willing to take the time because it's not going to be something that you can do within an hour or two. It's going to be something that can take several hours. Um, it can take several days, several weeks. If you have to be really stay committed to it. Uh, but in the end, once you have a really good one, all you have to do is just keep updating it. Once you have a good one that you're happy with and that meets your needs, and it's getting the results that you want, then all you have to do is just keep updating it. That's all. But it does take some time. My resume is I think it's pretty good, and it's really the result of 10 years of updates. I went to a free workshop 10 years ago and I realized that it needed a lot of work. And it was just information I didn't have. I didn't know that it needed improvement. And I started then and I started to make improvements. And then over the years, I kept working at it, kept adding new skills, new projects, new achievements to get it to where it is now, where I think it's a really, really good resume. And okay. But it should represent your writing skills. And so if someone else has done it for you, that's not representing, your skills. Um, okay. It should be tailored to the specific job and industry. What this could mean is that you may have multiple resumes, possibly. You may have two or three different versions of it if you have skills or experience in different areas. Hey, it should be no more than 1 or 2 pages. Definitely, if you're just starting your career, if you're in the first few years, first 5 years, it definitely should not be more than 1 page. 2 pages, even if you have a longer career, try to include no more than 10 years of work experience. Uh, I do have all of my, or most of my work experiences in mine, which is about 20 years, but all of my positions relate to my industry that I work in now. And so I didn't really see a need to take anything out. But there are a couple of things that I did decide to take out that didn't need to be in there because it wasn't related to what I'm looking for, my current career now. Um, okay, it needs to be updated and revised each year. Okay, even if you don't change jobs, even if you're with the same employer for a long time, you may have different positions you've done, you have different projects, you have different achievements that you've done. Even if you say, well, I'm not planning on going anywhere, I'm not planning on changing jobs, so why do I need to keep my resume updated? It's still important. You just never know. You never know when a promotion opportunity may come available. You never know when a new job may be open that someone recruits you for. And they may say, hey, we've got this job open, it closes tomorrow. Can it would be a 30-40% pay increase for you, but we need your resume today. Can you get it to us? And you haven't worked on your resume in a while. Um, that's why you want to keep it updated for that moment when you get that phone call. Or unfortunately, with the economy, sometimes, or decisions that are made at small businesses, sometimes you just never know, and so you want to always have it ready if you need it. Um, and then it's just a good practice for professional development as well to have a current copy of it that's updated. Okay. Remember, the purpose of the resume is to get an interview. To get an interview is not to get a job. Um, it's to get an interview, and it's to convince the employer that you're hireable. And so, uh, if you're getting calls, if you're getting interviews, then that means that resume is doing its job and it's effective. If you're not getting any calls, then it means you probably need to do some updates to it. And now, if you're not getting job offers, that's maybe a different story. That could be something with the interviewing process. Could be something with experience level, something like that. It doesn't always mean that you have a bad resume. Um, okay, information should be factual. Okay, remember today with technology, anything could be verified very easily. Things could be checked out. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you fabricated something. Um, can we embellish? Can we kind of stretch it a little bit and make it look good? Yeah, you can do that. Okay, but there's a difference between embellish and stretch, and there's a difference between true and not true. Okay. Uh, and so sometimes because students have limited experience, they may have to kind of stretch things a little bit or make it look really good. Uh, they may have to put some student organizations on there. Maybe they volunteered at their church. They may have to put that on there or something like that. But you don't want to put that you were a manager somewhere and you really weren't. You don't want to put that you finished a degree, a college degree, or a certification, and you really didn't. Okay, what if they ask for that transcript? Okay, what if they call that school's registrar and they ask for verification? Okay, remember that a hiring manager may only look at a resume for 6 or 7 seconds. They may also have 100 resumes to look at, and so that's why it's important that it needs to stand out as much as possible. Avoid using a template. I do, give students links for different websites that are easy to use where they can plug it in. Even the Lone Star Career Star system has a resume builder on there that you can use. Okay, but what I also advocate for is that you need to be original and be creative. And sometimes using these templates where it kind of does the work for you or kind of puts it into a certain format, sometimes it can maybe limit you a little bit to where it doesn't look or have everything you need in there. Also, it might be hard to maybe edit it or change it possibly if you need to. So that's why I kind of advocate for start fresh. Open up. If you don't have a resume, look at some examples, open up an empty Word document, start typing, and look at some examples and just keep going. Like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. It could take several weeks. It could take some, months even. Okay, but remember, this is your career. This is your resume. You need to take ownership of it. Okay. And as we said with the cover letter as well, use data, statistics, use action verbs, accomplishments all throughout the resume, just like in the cover letter. Okay, so I won't go too in depth with this because we're going to get to some examples shortly. But I think it is important that you need to know the different types of resumes and why you would use a different version or a different format. Okay, the chronological is going to be the most common. Okay, if you're looking for the same type of job, different positions you've had, all are connected. Students, entry level positions. Okay, you're going to use the reverse chronological resume. is going to be the most common. Um, okay, and that's going to be usually contact information. You're going to have a summary or objective at the top. You're going to list your job experience. You're going to list education and skills. Okay, these two can be interchanged. You can put skills first. You can put education at the bottom. Okay, and then anything additional down there, languages spoken, awards, so forth, so on. Okay, functional is also called a skills-based resume. So this is where you focus on your skills and not necessarily your jobs that you've done. Okay, so this could come into play for someone that maybe doesn't have a lot of experience. It could be someone also that's coming out of the military who's worked different type of military service jobs, and now they're coming into a civilian job, and so they need to basically extract those skills that they got from the military, but put it into a different format to where someone can understand it. Okay, so there would be contact information, summary, objective. Okay, they would list their skills here, like with subtitles, and then they would list those different skills that they have. Experience, the work experience would just be listed. They would put the job uh, and they wouldn't go into much detail. They would just put the job where they worked at, when they worked there. Okay, and maybe their title, their job title. Okay, and then they would put their education at the bottom. Okay, a combination is also called a hybrid resume. Okay, it can literally just be kind of a mixture for whatever reason. If the functional doesn't work for you, if the chronological for some reason doesn't work, and you just want to mix it up a little bit, one reason someone may do this is they may put their education at the top because maybe their job requires a license, such as a licensed social worker or a licensed therapist. And so that's a reason why they would put the education at the top where it's very important. So that would be more of a hybrid combination resume. It could also be good for a position that requires expertise in 3 different fields. So an example is a senior manager position, but in that management position, they have to have management, sales, and software experience for different, they do different tasks in those 3 areas. And so that's where a combination resume could come into. People that are maybe changing careers as well. Okay, so for some, as you're developing it, you'll see, okay, I need to go with the straight chronological, or I need to mix mine up a little bit and go with this, okay, or I know I don't have a whole lot of experience. One example of this could be someone who maybe went back to school for something different, like teaching, and they don't have a lot of experience, and so they're going to put, whatever limited teaching experience they have, and they'll use that. That's another reason they would use the functional. Okay, so this is just a good resume checklist that I like to just show. Okay, are you using the right format is definitely what we just talked about. Okay, did you have a summary objective? Okay, that's at the top. It's also called a branding statement. And I'll show you what that looks like later down the line. Basically a quick synopsis statement, 2 or 3 sentences. It shows who you are, what you can do. It has some, 1 or 2 skills that you can do, and then maybe has, one of your achievements that you've done. Okay, and it's something that gets the employer's attention. Okay, do you have relevant work experience? Are all the jobs that are listed on your resume and your work history, are they all related to what you're looking for now? Did you tailor it? Okay, did you list achievements instead of responsibilities? And that's what we were talking about. Employers do not want to see just what you did at a job. They want to, or what your duties were. They want to see what your achievements, how are you able to make an impact or make a difference? What kind of work record did you establish while you were at that company? Okay. Did you add any additional sections of your resume that you might need, such as, do you speak another language, some awards? Okay, did you proofread it? Very important. Okay, always, you need to always proofread it several times. Even if you think it's perfect, go back in, proofread it again, keep looking at it. have someone else look at it, read over it. Okay. Unfortunately, there are people who may eliminate your resume because they find a grammatical error or spelling error or something like that. Because it'll show that you didn't, take a time to look through it and attention. Okay, so okay, so this is kind of the 7 sections of a resume. Uh, Pretty much every resume will have most of these sections, not all of them necessarily. Okay, this 1/3 means that the top 1/3 needs to stand out, uh, and uh, and because that's the portion that they may only look at that top 1/3 of the resume. So very important for this part to stand out. Okay, so obviously you can put your full name, contact information, phone and email only. You can put your LinkedIn profile. The address and zip code is not really needed. You don't want to also have someone think that you live too far away, that you won't want to drive to get to that company. Even if you're willing to, they may think that you live too far, and they may not call you for an interview. It's happened. It has happened. I've seen it happen to me. Okay, definitely have a professional voice message and email address. A personal branding statement. Okay, it's also called the objective of the summary. You don't have to mention a specific company. You also don't have to include the title. You don't have to put branding statement or objective. Okay, but definitely you want that in there if possible. Even if it could be that someone who doesn't have a lot of experience. It could be what you are looking for, that you're just getting started in a career and you're excited and you're enthusiastic. It can also be that as well. Okay, a career summary or profile. This is going to list your career accomplishments with data and statistics. This would be at the top to get the attention. Okay, not all resumes may have this section. You could also list the accomplishments in the work history as well, and you can do it that way rather than getting a separate section. The reason I have this section in mind is because I think it gets the reader's attention in that top 1/3. Because again, who knows if they even will get to all the work history, or they may not read through all of it. Okay, relevant skills. So with this section, we talk about hard skills, soft skills, transferable skills related to the targeted position in industry. Okay, in that order. The skill section will go before or after the education in a chronological resume, okay, but after the career profile in a functional or hybrid combination resume. Okay, and I'll show you some examples of this. So some resumes may omit the skills section as well, and they'll include the skills with the career profile at the top. Okay, or include the skills into the work history section. Okay, so what that just means is there's different ways that you can put the skills into there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a separate section. Okay, as you start to look at different examples, you'll see how different ways that can be done. Okay, professional work experience. Relevant work experience in chronological order. Focus on accomplishments and achievements, not just job duties, like we said. Okay, education, include degrees and certifications. Omit high school and GED if you have a lot of work experience, but you don't have a lot of formal education. Okay, or possibly if you didn't finish high school or GED, then you may want to think about just not putting that in there. There are some people who started working, they dropped out of high school, they started making good money. They were in some type of apprenticeship program, something like that. And they learned, they became a licensed electrician. Okay. Okay, do not put the year of graduation for high school or college. They only put the year that you anticipate graduation if you are currently in school. Okay, and then as I was saying a minute ago, place education at the top of the resume if you are interested, if you are a recent or upcoming graduate, or if the industry requires licensure or PhD, or terminal degree such as PhD. Okay, otherwise, the education will go towards the bottom. And then the last section is you can have a special section with languages, professional organizations, awards, related extracurricular activities. Okay, any volunteer experience. Okay, again, not all resumes will have this section either. Okay, but definitely we wanted to have name, contact information, some type of branding statement, or also called an objective or summary. You want to list some achievements in one way or another. It doesn't have to be a separate section. Okay. The skills, we definitely want to, show what skills you have. There's different ways of putting it in there. In a functional resume, that will be the bulk of it. It will just show the skills. All righty, let's keep going here. We'll try to kind of get through this. Okay, so okay, very briefly, I'll just show you how these different versions, different formats of the resume are set up. So chronological, as we said, name, contact, summary, objective at the top. Okay, professional experience, okay, work history, education, and then it has the skills section at the bottom. Okay. Again, these can be interchanged. You can put the skills here, you can put the education down here. Okay, that just kind of breaks it down again in a different way. Okay, for functional resume, again, it's going to focus on the skills now. It's going to focus on the skills based. Name, contact information. You put a summary, objective here. Okay, skills group by theme. So they list different skills with subtitles, and then they break it down, and then they put different achievements within those skills. Complaint resolution, answered an average 50 plus phone calls per day. Okay, so that's the way a skills-based functional resume looks. Okay. And then with the work history, they just list their jobs and the years they worked, and they put what their position was. Okay, and then they put the education at the bottom. So again, this would be someone coming out of the military. This could be someone that maybe doesn't really have a lot of experience, and they're trying to highlight their skills. Those are two reasons that someone would use a functional. Okay, for a combination resume, basically it can be kind of a mixture. You can piece together different ways. Always name, contact information at the top. Always going to be next your career summary. Your summary, objective statement, branding statement. Okay. From there, for whatever reason, if you want to put your skills next, I do have my skills on mine. On mine, I have a career profile with accomplishments, and then I have the skills after that. And to me, that was the best way to get the employer's attention. Okay. And then I have a pretty lengthy work history. Okay. So you can put that, and then the education at the bottom. Again, I don't recommend putting the years there. That's just something I wasn't able to take out. But definitely don't put the years that you graduated. Okay, and then any awards, any volunteer experience, you can put that at the bottom. So that just shows you a few ways of setting it up, and you can find what works best for you. Okay, and then these other ones, it just kind of breaks it down a little bit better. It just kind of shows you a different version of it, but pretty much the same information. Okay, so let's look at a few resume examples now as we start to kind of wind this down. Examples are always going to be the best way for you to piece together what it is you need to do that's going to work best for you. It's going to be different for each of you and for what you're trying to do. Depending on how much experience you have. Okay, you're gonna have to look at different examples. So this is good for an internship example. Okay, this is a current college student that has no experience. And I remember I did help a student that was in kind of a similar position where they were applying for an internship for like a COVID type position, COVID lab position. They currently worked at a hospital, like in the supply department. Okay, so think about that. and I was helping her to kind of see how she could make those connections and put it into a cover letter and also to an internship resume. Uh, and so it's related, but not directly. So she was able to use how in her job as a supply at the hospital, and she was able to connect that to infectious diseases and so forth, and prevention to apply for the internship in for the COVID lab position. And so that's just one example. Uh, Education and coursework related information at the top, followed by marketing projects completed on this one. Okay, so basically they used their coursework, and I think I did tell that student I worked with to also use some of her coursework that she did. They put that in the resume. Any awards, GPA, Dean's List, anything like that. If you did a part-time job or something, you had any type of achievement or award or recognition, even if it's for employee of the month, something like that. Definitely go ahead and put it on. Okay, so this will be a college resume for a graduating senior. They put the education at the top. They're looking for an entry-level job. They use study abroad and tutor position for experience. So again, this is a student that's in school full time. That may not be, the case with some other students. Okay, this is a chronological resume with 7 years experience. Very good objective branding statement. They put it as a career summary at the top. But it's really a branding statement. Highly skilled software engineer with 7 years of experience, having hands on multiple technologies, cross-platform and opening languages proficiency, looking for a challenging job to develop high-performance applications and innovative solutions. And then they have another sentence there that talks about different skills that they also have. So this is a perfect example of what we're talking about. This catches the reader's attention, and it shows a reflection of who you are, what you can do, how you can help that company. Okay, and then chronological, again, if you look at it, they list achievements for each job, achievements, they quantify it, they have percentages, okay, and then they put the skills section, and then they put their education. They also put some certifications here at the bottom, which is okay. You can put that towards the bottom as well. They put name, phone number, and email. Okay, no address, if you notice that. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to just show you one of each. That was chronological. Okay, so this is now a functional resume. This is what a functional resume looks like. So functional highlights the skills and accomplishments in 3 areas of expertise with data and statistics. The candidate has one previous full-time job. The rest of the work history is a summer internship and a current volunteer position. Okay, so remember what I was saying? In this case, this candidate, they had one job, like in a customer service job, for 3 years. Okay, they are looking for a job in administrative assistant in reception customer service. The only other experience, they did one internship and they have some volunteer experience. Okay, so they're basically looking for a different type of job. So what they did was they took this job they have in customer service, and then they listed the skills that they were able to do in that job related to admin, and then they list some achievements that they did. Okay, so created complex weekly schedules for a team of 10, organize, maintain 500 donor files. Okay, so donor, that was part of what they did in their other job as well. Okay, but basically limited experience, and so they went with a functional resume. Okay, it could have been also maybe they just finished school recently or something like that. Okay, here's one more functional for a student teacher with master's degree looking for first teaching job, 2 months experience as a tutor. Okay, so this is another good example. Basically, they're just finishing probably their master's degree. They are doing their student teaching. they're looking for their first teaching job. So they don't have any experience. They worked for 2 months as a tutor. Okay, so maybe this person had uh, another job as well. Okay, it could be that maybe they relocated to from another country. It could be something like that as well. But for whatever reason, they don't have anything else here under the work history. So what that means is that it's very limited. Okay, so they're using the functional to show the skills that they've learned while they've been in these two positions. Okay, and it really highlights just the skills instead of someone saying, "Oh, this person has only worked at these two jobs and they haven't been here that long." They're looking at these skills now and they're saying, "Wow, look at these skills that this candidate can bring to the table for this position." Okay, so there's no formula. There's no one that says you have to use a certain type of resume. You have to use kind of what's best for you and what works best for you. Okay, so for hybrid combination, this is one example. Okay, for experienced professional with 9 years experience, a good layout and presentation. They have the summary, objective branding statement up here. They have the qualifications here. They put the skills here. Then they put the work history, and then they put the education at the bottom. Okay, so basically it's just a mixture, a different way of putting it together. Looks like this person really wanted to highlight their skills there. Hey, this is definitely a really good hybrid combination that I like. 10 years of experience, good personal branding statement, skill sections at the top after the objective statement, has action verbs, accomplishments, and statistics. Okay, so a really good branding statement here, general bookkeeper with 8 years of experience. Okay, really breaks it down. It gives a statistic there on an accomplishment. Okay, increased productivity by 15%. Okay, and then it breaks down the skills that they have here in different areas. Okay, along with some achievements for each of those skills, done really well. And then it has the education at the bottom. Work experience is here, but it doesn't go into great detail. It just kind of tells what their duties were. Okay, so this is actually my personal resume again. Change the name on it. uh, okay, but this is my personal resume, and mine is a hybrid. I realized that mine was a hybrid after I saw the different examples. Mine is a hybrid because I put my skill section up here. Okay, so what I wanted to do was set mine up so that this top third right here will get the reader's attention very quickly. Okay, so contact information, name, good branding statement here, career summary that lists all my major achievements from all of my jobs. Put that up here. Okay, and then I put the skills section up here, and I chose to do that just to kind of highlight the skills that I have. Because if you think about the skills, this is what you can actually do for that employer. This is what you're offering. This is what you're bringing to the table. Okay, and then okay, and then everything else reverse chronological. In each job, I listed at least one. I tried to list at least one achievement that I put in here. Okay, and again, I chose to include all of my work history starting from 2003. Okay, but it's done in a very methodical way where I'm just uh, filling it up with skills that are related to any job that I'm looking for currently. I'm loading it up with examples and with achievements as well. Okay, and I'm connecting it all back to my current career in some way or another. Okay, whether it was I worked at GED instructor, I worked at a vocational school as a counselor, I worked at Workforce Solutions. Okay, it's all connected. It's all connected. Okay, even though this was like a disaster case manager position, it was still case management. And so case management is still a part of what I do now. Okay, my education is at the bottom. I don't have the years that I graduated. I just put the schools. I did go to school out of state. I'm from the Houston area. I did have my high school on here for a long time. If you're in a situation where maybe you went away to go to school and then you came back, one little trick I would recommend is that you go ahead and put your high school on there, so that just people can be a little bit quirky. They see that they think you're from another state or something like that. And so for me, it was helpful to just put my high school to show that I was from Texas. And it's just something kind of a little quirk that people have sometimes. And if they're going to ask you, well, what brought you here? What brought you to Texas? And, okay, but then as long as I established my career, all of my jobs have been here. So okay, good resumes that are lacking something. I don't think we'll have time to really go through this. Okay, but this is something I can definitely share at another time. Okay, let me. Okay, this particular one has no data, statistics, achievements for the second job. Okay, so with what it did was it put data achievements for one job, but it didn't put it for all of them. And so you don't want to come up short. You want to be consistent. Don't just do a good job for one of them. Put statistics and data and accomplishments for all the jobs. So that was what was wrong with this one. Okay, what was wrong with this one? Yeah, the same thing. It didn't list achievements for each job. Same thing for this one. Okay, they could have also used a career profile or summary could be added under the branding statement, right, to list achievements up there, right? Okay. Okay, so I've talked about this word branding statement, this phrase branding statement. It used to be called an objective, and it kind of still is an objective, but it's going to be a little bit of a different twist on it. So, okay, so what is a branding statement? Okay, similar to 30-second elevator pitch. Okay, but this is for the resume. So it kind of enhances the old objective statement with a more personal touch. And it's going to include the skills and achievements. Okay, it's going to be a short, memorable statement with 3 sentences max. Okay, it's going to summarize who you are, your values as it relates to the industry. If you remember one of those cover letter examples I showed you, it had where they had looked up the mission statement of the company, and then they said similar to the values in your mission. Okay, so that's kind of what it's talking about there. Okay, okay, 3 sentences max. It summarizes who you are, your values, highlights your relevant skills and experience, okay, your greatest strength, okay, and your best benefit to the employer. Okay, so what can you do for that employer? Okay, you can include one statistic. The statement does not have to mention a specific position that you're targeting, okay, but it should emphasize the industry that you work in. Okay, so here it breaks it down again here on the right-hand side. Who you are, what you want, what you can bring to the table. Okay, who you are is going to say current position, maybe the years of experience that you have, okay, a degree or level of education, relevant training, certification. Okay, what you want. Okay, what are you applying to? The name of the company, possibly. You don't necessarily have to include that. What you want to accomplish, transition you want to make. Okay, and then what you bring to the table. Key hard skills, key soft skills, how you can help the company meet its goals. Okay, so one that I like to use for this for entry level. This is one that I found of a student that actually works at a restaurant who's maybe studying marketing. So the second one here says recent marketing graduate with talent for developing scalable acquisition strategies, experience with creating and improving campaigns and teams and independently to help local organizations start and grow user acquisition. Successfully executed social media marketing campaign for Maggiano's restaurant, which increased customer revenue by 10%. So I actually came up with this myself. I actually kind of created this and came up with it. And so that's a good example of a student that works in a restaurant, which is very common, but they're studying something like marketing, and so they can use those skills that they got from that restaurant in marketing. Okay, and this top one is saying someone that actually helped to recruit and train staff, which is also very common. at a restaurant, okay, but maybe they were studying human resources, okay, and then they were able to incorporate that. Okay, so very creative. You can look up examples how to do it. Okay, and then there's other ones that I have. This one I like really. This is someone looking for a data entry specialist, but they do a really good job of kind of dressing it up really good and making it sound really interesting. Um, Possessing comparable ability to perform accurate and efficient entry of data into administrative software. Okay, so they're really, really hyping this up and making it look good, despite whatever position it is that they're applying for. Okay, action verbs need to be in the cover letter and the resume. Okay, what the action verbs do is that they grab the employer's attention and they make the cover letter and the resume more concise, and it helps and it enhances your skills and accomplishments. It's also going to help to be persuasive of the employer. It can also help with those ATS systems, the applicant tracking systems, where it kind of scans for keywords, and it will help to kind of, with that scanning system, to help you clear through that scanning, so that your resume can make it through the process. Okay, so these are some examples of action verbs here. So an example would be if you improve something, you can say that you restructured it, you revamped, okay, you redesigned. Okay, it's just like a better way of saying it that sounds better. If you led a project, you can say that you spearheaded, or no, I'm sorry, orchestrated, organized, coordinated. Okay, if you created something, you can say you spearheaded. Instituted is definitely a good one. Okay, so there are links here where you can find these action verbs. And again, you want to have these all throughout your cover letter, all throughout your resume. It will make it much more readable and give it a nice flow. Okay. Okay, here is how you incorporate an action verb into a phrase, into your cover letter or your resume. Okay, so you want to do it with an action verb, a task or project, and then a metric or a result. So created would be the action verb. Okay, a performance reporting template is the task or project that they worked on, achieving an 80% reduction in the preparation time, okay, which is the result, the metric. Okay, and then if you remember me showing you those cover letters, those resumes, you'll see sentences or phrases like this all throughout them. Okay, the action verb, overhaul. Okay, task or project, a website by designing landing pages. Okay, what was the metric result? Generated 70% more leads by email, via email capture forms, and reduced bounce rate by 20%. Okay, so there's that data statistic achievement. Okay, so just remember hard skills, soft skills, and you can always know the difference between those is always helpful. That you can, as you're writing your resume and cover letter, it helps to distinguish the difference between the two. Okay, so hard skills are measurable skills that you can demonstrate that you know how to do, such as a foreign language or a software. Okay, developing a web page. Okay, soft skills, people skills, or things like communication, critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, teamwork. Okay, these are also transferable skills as well. Transferable skills are skills, it kind of overlaps with soft skills a little bit. And there are some hard skills that are transferable as well. But it's going to be, clerical skills, data entry, typing. Those are skills that you can do at any job, that you can transfer over. Okay, but communication skills for sure, multitasking, interpersonal skills such as teamwork, those are all transferable. Leadership skills, those are all transferable. Okay. And this is a page at LinkedIn that I found that gives it's called Pulse 7 examples of transferable skills that you could look up. Hey, there's a page on action verb. There's some links on action verbs, the Muse, Indeed. Novo Resume has a really good page with action verbs. Also, Colorado State has a really good one with action verbs. And you can pull any of these up and take a look at them, and that'll definitely help with giving you some good examples. Hey, for the branding statements, here are some really good links that I found when I was researching where you can find examples of branding objective statements. That this is the one that you would have at the top of the resume. Okay, so there was one at imaginative.com that I found, Novo Resume, Indeed, Resume Now, JobScan, and Resume Genius. And again, I'm not promoting these companies. Yeah, I'm just saying that these are where you can find examples that you can use. And it's free. It's free of charge. There's no charge for any of this on the websites. Um, Hey, some really good cover letter examples that I found. One was at ccv.edu. Hey, this is another one that I found at bu.edu. Cover letter example here. Hey, Resume Genius, Indeed, and Resume Builder. They all have really good examples of cover letters. Okay, and then again, all you're using, I'm not promoting these companies or anything. All I'm saying is you can use these and you can look up free examples. Type in whatever you're looking for. If you're looking for a job as a social worker, type in social worker cover letters. If you're looking for a job as a welder, electrician, case manager, marketing specialist, data analyst, whatever it is, accounting, hey, look it up. More than likely, you'll be able to find an example. And then you can use that example to help just piece yours together. You don't want to copy it verbatim. Yeah, I'm not advocating for that. Don't copy it verbatim. Hey, look at the phrases, look at the vocabulary, and that will help you to kind of piece yours together. Look at how it's set up. Hey, resumes do the same thing. Again, um, I advocate that you open up a Word document and type an original resume. Okay, but sometimes it's not always easy. You need to see some examples. And so these are definitely all websites where you can get examples that you can download, free examples. Okay, Resume Genius, Resume Builder. Okay, power phrases to build your resume. I found this one at ius.edu. Okay, this one also has one on how to write a human voice resume in 8 steps, which is something like kind of a new little way of doing it, kind of a creative technology way to do it.